this is a job that came in the other week and I've been waiting on parts to arrive. I got some bits sending up tomorrow, so I thought I'd make a head start on it. So for the last probably hour and a half I've been pulling all of the fuel lines and water lines and coils and all that sort of stuff out of the off the motor. Pulled the manifold off, getting it ready. I've already pulled out the loom from the inside of the car and found some fun little extra wiring jobs I'm going to have to do, fix, sort, whatever. But yeah, so someone's already been and had a good go at this in the past. I don't know if this will come out yet. Let's see if it will. It's attached to. No, she's still got a bit to go. But yeah, so this was twin turbo, and someone looks like someone's made an attempt to desequentialize the turbos that were on it and tied up the wiring, but I think it's been done poorly, judging by the rest of the wiring that I found. So I'm going to get this loom out. I'll chuck it on the bench, I'll take all the tape off, and then I'll show you how I would do it, which I think is the correct way, or at least a way to do it. Keeps all the wiring safe, and so nothing can, I don't know, short out, spark, create fire, whatever. But yeah, as it stands, this is pretty rough from my standards. That's pretty rough. Just extra wiring that doesn't need to be there. So I'll pull it out, put it on the bench, unwrap everything, make it all look nice, and then retape everything, and it'll be good. So anyway, I'll jump into that and see you in a few minutes. Cool, alright, so let's have a look at this loom. So here's the first special wire that I found. So as I was pulling the loom out, obviously that connects to the ECU and that connects to the body harness. That goes, I think, to the back of the car. And then this one here goes to your dash. This here was connected to the rear loom. It was very, very crudely attached to the rear loom. The other end there's some shielded wire. Wasn't really sure what it was for at first, but then I found this plug here. This is for the ABS sensor on the left front wheel, which goes from the front of the car all the way to the ABS computer in the back of the car. So someone at some point has broken this, and instead of repairing it correctly with some shielded wire, it looks like they've used just standard wiring. I thought it might have been speaker wire, but no, it's just standard sort of power wire. So I'll pull this out, and I'll replace it with some shielded wire and whatever else. Anyway, so the main thing here is this wiring all here. So this is all the original loom for the twin turbo system. Oh, I see, the plugs are still there from what I can tell. So instead of, oh yeah, it looks like it will be the air pump. And then, oh yeah, that's a turbo control and pre-control solenoid wires. That goes to your water level sensor. Alright, so this wiring here will be for the twin turbo solenoids. So if I take good tape at least. Sometimes this tape, depending on how long it's been in, will just crumble in your hands or brittle and yuck. Right, almost there. So I can see what someone's done. Rather than cut the wires, they've just taped it all together. It's not unsafe, it's just, it's not tidy. Now that all of this wiring is redundant, I can get snip happy. Give me a sec. So I have already gone through and marked the wires that I know I need to keep, and the wires I don't need to keep I know I can just snip off. So we'll start with over here. Okay, we know we don't need any of these wires, so if I cut that actually about there, if I cut you about here, and then because we don't really need to make a mess of all this, let's just cut you about there. So that's all those gone, not needed. So next thing to do, all of this old factory wiring, it's quite brittle and yuck, we don't need it anymore. Now some jobs, the best way to do this is actually to unstitch all of the tape and go all the way back to the ECU and the power sources and de-loom it. But not every customer has that budget. I've got a loom to do down there, it's exactly the same as this, but I'll be de-looming it because that's what the customer wants. So the finished product, I mean this will look nice at the end of it, it's not going to matter. But the problem that we've got is now we've gone and snipped all these wires, we have a whole bunch of exposed power wires and earth wires. I mean, earth wires aren't so problematic, but definitely the power wires. And from memory there's, it could be the 1 power, I can't remember, and then it's split off, that doesn't matter. Oh, cool. Right. So that's that section here. So all I'm going to do is the quickest and easiest way to do this that I find. Other people will probably have a different way of doing things and probably think, oh, whatever, you're not doing it right. I don't really care. Not everyone has the money to do these amazing YouTube builds. They just simply don't. Anywho, so what I am going to do is I'm going to take my little side cutters and I'm going to trim you there, I'll trim you there, trim you there, there. It doesn't matter in which order you do this. Alright, so if you look here, I've staggered all of these wires. Why have I staggered all these wires? Because when they're taped together to this loom, there is no way that these can touch. Now, the other precaution I'm going to do is I'm going to use some dual core heat shrink, and I will heat shrink each end, and then I'll tape it all up. So that just ensures that there's, even when it's taped together, there's no way that any of these wires can touch anything else in this loom when the car's running. So, because we don't want that. But I'll also get this snip here, so that when I tape it down, all the wiring lies flat against the loom. Cool. Alright, so that's that one. Now what do we got? These ones. Same deal as before. We need that wire, but we don't need the rest. This so because we need that wire, see how brittle it is? It just basically crumbles. Now you'll probably find, oh no, they're different colours. Oh no, they're not. These solenoids, they have the same power, so they've got different earth triggers, but the same power. And chances are, if I get my multimeter, I could be very wrong here. So, if I, oh, wrong one. Going. If I go there, yep, it's all linked. So because it's all linked to solenoids. So solenoids typically have a really low power requirement. So that means you can have multiple solenoids on the one thing because they're earth switched. So that means, or earth triggered. So that means that there's live ignition power to all of the solenoids, and then there's an earth trigger. This loom is almost finished. There's a few little bits and pieces left to go. I've taken out the ABS, the bad dodgy repair. So as you can see, all they've done there is attached some standard core wire to that and run it through the main loom. So I'll do something similar, but I'm going to run shielded wire, and I'll see if I've got some brand new terminals so I can run all new shielded wire all the way through the car. And it'll be nice and tidy. Now what I've done here with all this wiring, you can see, I'll do that. Now I've heat shrinked all of these ends with the dual core, and I've pinched each end as well. So that means that there's no chance of any wiring making contact with something that it shouldn't. You can see it's all nice and closed off, and the benefit with doing that is later on, if you need to get access to one of these wires to repurpose it for something else, it's already wired into the ECU, and you just reassign that output or input or whatever it is that you're using, or you can utilize the power for something small like another solenoid for whatever reason, extra injectors or whatever, if this will allow it. Yeah, but it's all pretty much straightforward. I've already connected, this is boost control solenoid wire, so I've already connected that. I've traced it back to the ECU to check it. I've connected our secondary injector plugs and everything. It's all new plugs and terminals and boots and whatnot. It's a Bosch EV1 style plug. What else is there? So I've done those ones, I've done those ones. I've cut all of these as well, so I'll cut all that, sort of tape all that back. This one here is for the fan thermo switch. This snapped off in the car, so I need to get another connector for that, and probably just extend it a little bit so that it's not stressed. And then I need to replace this coolant temp sensor plug. Obviously it's broken, and then I've just found the TPS is damaged as well. So that means we can no longer buy the TPS itself from Mazda, so I've got an alternative that I use, so I'll be going getting one of those tomorrow with a new plug and chucking that on, and it'll all work nice and fine. So yeah, but for the most part it's all done. I'll probably start taping it up soon. Yeah, and we'll be good to go. So I've got one more loom to do, but the other one's a little bit more in depth. So all of these wires here, I'll be stripping back all of this loom all the way back to the ECU and actually de-pinning it from the main harness. yeah, it's a more streamlined, nicer fit, and it just looks nicer. Really, no one's really going to notice it, but if you ever work on it, there's less wires to work with, less things to try and diagnose and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, nice and easy. Good morning. It's now Thursday morning, I think. Yep. And I spent a bit of time last night. Yes, my bench is an absolute mess because I did 2 looms last night. Anyway, so I'm just having a bit of a tidy up. But so last night, what I do? Oh, I finished off the majority of this first loom, and then I went on to this loom here, and I've removed all of the excess wiring that we don't need. So I've actually de-pinned everything. I think I took about 10 or 12 wires out, and then blanked off the power wires and stuff. So what am I doing now? Oh, so I managed to find a piece of shielded wire that's long enough to fix that ABS wire. So as you can see, I've put the little waterproof boots on there. I've managed to find 2 terminals that are identical to the ones to suit this plug. So if I can find them, what I can do here is cut that off, put in my pliers wherever I may have put those. Okay, so I've got several different types of crimpers anyway. Put you in there, grab me wire, which I had 2 seconds ago, which is not that one, it's that one. Alright, so the rubber boots, they need to go on the back, if you can see that, the back end of the crimp. So I'll crimp the front one, it's all nice and crimped, and then I'll crimp the front one, and that's nice and crimped. Okay, so you need to crimp on the rubber boot because that holds it and it seals it. And when I first started doing wiring, no one showed me that that's the correct way to do it, and I used to always put the boots in after and wonder why they would come out. So there was some wiring I needed to redo in my early days. That's what learning's for though. 1, 2. Now, so that's done. I can go ahead and put these into this, but I need to figure out what's what. So these were slightly different lengths, which was good. So in the car I can tell which one's what. So I'm just going to designate red is going to be orange and yellow is going to be white. So I'll de-pin that. Okay, just put the red one straight in, I think. Click. 9 times out of 10 you need to hear it click, because otherwise it's not making a good solid connection. Click. And that's all in there nice and purity. See that? Cool. So now I can go back to the loom. I can find where that was living, which I think was about here, and then I'll feed that through back out, and then what I'll do is I'll terminate this at the other end with a nice little plug, but I'm going to leave that as it is for now so that it's easy to feed through and it won't damage the wires and stuff, and then I'll strip it back and whatever else. Cool. Alright, so I'll do that and then I'll have a quick tidy up. I'm done with the heat shrink. I can clean my bench, I can clean up all of the connectors and all that sort of thing, and then I can have a nice clean work area to start taping up bits and pieces and stuff like that. So this kind of shit, like it's like 20 something years old, it's all brittle and crunchy, and you can never really do it in a tidy manner, so it is what it is. Well, that's pretty much this loom all buttoned up, but I think 2 things. So all I need to do is order a new plug for the thermofan switch, which is that wire here, and I have to go get a new TPS and plug. So I have to snip that off and repin it because it's from a different manufacturer. It's a different plug, different terminals, everything. But I can walk you through what I've done. Here's the ABS wire running through back into the loom and back out where it came out before. That's the gearbox loom. What else have I done? Okay, so this is an injector plug, another injector plug for the primary injectors that I've done. This is a Deutsch connector, whatever you want to call it. This is a secondary injector plug, another secondary injector plug. What else have we got? Oh, this is the boost control solenoid plug, another Deutsch connector. I had to replace the coolant temp plug. Yeah, but the other one was all basically just crumbled in my hand. What else have I done? I've de-loomed it, so all of the old wiring has been shrinked and chopped and wired back into the, well, not wired, but like taped back in the loom. So it's all looking pretty tidy. Now, I know this isn't any, it's not a mil-spec loom or anything like that. It's not everyone has this budget, so all I've done is tidied the wiring up, removed all the redundant wires, and then tidied them up. So the other loom that I've done, similar type thing, except I've deepened the wires, which takes a lot more time to do. So not everyone has the budget to do a mil spec. You don't need to do it for every build. Yeah, as much as it's nice to work with and do all that sort of stuff, it's not required, so all the time. That's about it for this one. So I got to order a few more bits, and I will probably finish this off tomorrow if they arrive here tomorrow. Otherwise, yeah, I'll just finish it off when I can, but I'll jump onto the other stuff. The fuel rails are here now, so I can put all of that in. I've got to modify the injectors, like wire them basically, put little plugs on them, and then I can put start doing all the fuel system. And turbo should be here next week, so yeah, should be good to go soon. Thanks for watching.